Strap in and hold on tight. Welcome to Season 7 of the Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast. This year, the questions are as big as the wheel of IL. Are the Dodgers ruining baseball? Are we witnessing a blue-tinted three-peat and a dynasty for the ages? Can the Angels finally find the magic to break their October drought? And is this truly the final year of baseball as we know it? You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth!
Well, you're in the right place with the 2023 IBWAA Podcast Host of the Year, a sister and brother duo, Jana and Jeff. They've been arguing since the dugout, and they aren't stopping now. Join the conversation on Twitter and Blue Sky at Sibling Rivalry BB without the A, and on Instagram and Facebook at Sibling Rivalry BB with the A. You can find every episode and more at SiblingRivalryBB.com. The lights are on, the chalk is fresh, and it's time to... Time again for the Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast. And, fair amount to talk about. We know that some craziness happened during the regionals for the college baseball playoffs. Not quite the World Series yet, the college baseball playoffs. And something that has never happened before happened. We'll tell you all about that and around baseball. Plus, we got to talk about what's happening with our teams, and we'll have Players of the Week and Players of the Month. And in case you don't remember where Troy is, we'll remind you of that as well. Just real quick, just because we had because we talked about it last week about the proposals that were thrown out there. When we talked about the MLB's proposal and what they wanted for the salary cap, Bruce Meyer, who is the interim executive director of the Players Union, said the players will be taking about a $500 million pay cut. To which I go, I mean, yeah, on one thing, it's like, you guys are, it's that whole thing of I remember this comedian talking about like the national debt. Nobody can really put their arms around or wrap their head around the national debt because it's a number beyond what any of us know. The only person really in the world who's got enough money to think about what the national debt is compared to his wealth is Elon Musk. We don't get what trillions are, and even billions for most of us, but it's like, that's just a big number we don't get. If the national debt was, say, like, the national debt is $3,412, people are like, hey, I got $10 I can put towards that. We can just wipe this thing out. Everybody put a little bit in there because that's money we understand. 500 million. Do you understand 500 million?
No.
I don't either. I don't get it. I better get down there. I don't even think that the lottery winnings, like the Powerball or the Mega Millions, are even that high right now. So I don't get it. Anyway, that's what he says. It's going to be a big cut like that because it would cut their guaranteed contracts. So it says it's not just monetarily bad for freedom, bad for competition, eliminates truly guaranteed money, bad for the fans, in our view, bad for players at every level, particularly bad for the middle class, which we did talk about that. That's who's going to get squeezed. So fundamentally, that system is anti-competitive. It's a form of institutionalized collusion. I love it anytime when somebody throws in institutionalized.
Yes.
Anyway, we then went on and said at some point, our union has never been broken. It never will be. So you can take away a different lesson from our history, but that would be a big mistake. And he says, he's hoping people are thinking clearly, but he says, don't hold your breath for a quick resolution to this. But you never know.
Well, and I think it's interesting too. In the article in the Athletic, Rob Manfred had referenced the $446 million gap between the Dodgers and the team with the lowest payroll in baseball, which is the Marlins. And he described that gap as an unfair fight. But why is it an unfair fight when the Marlins also have the ability? I mean, to maybe you don't spend as much as, but you can still put a good team together and compete. And I think the problem is that what we see with a lot of teams is they just have these hodgepodge players, which sometimes works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you have the one superstar,
Like
and
Sandy Alcantara.
right, and then that's it, and that you kind of build around, but they're not building around him. Um, and so I don't. It's an unfair fight because, but where is the? And I know Manfred is more, you know, the league, the owners. Um,
Well, I mean, that's who pays him.
yeah, but I don't think that that's a fair. I don't think that that's a fair comparison to say, well, look at the Dodgers and then the Marlins, because that's the player payroll, but it's also luxury taxes, right? I mean, the Dodgers pay an enormous amount.
Well, they paid $169 million,
Mm-hmm.
which is double
Yeah,
the Marlins payroll.
right. Yeah,
I,
I don't know. I think that that is, some of that, the luxury payments, the union says that the luxury tax payments are not payroll because some of that money goes right back to the team, but the payroll, I think I think it's exaggerated to a certain extent, because the union always, or the league always lumps in the payroll and the luxury
right.
tax. But I just think there's a huge disparity, but who is at fault for that? It's not the players. The players aren't at fault.
Well, and the players have always said, we're not here to help police the owner's spending habits. It's what I've always said too, and my argument's always been when people go, I stopped watching sports, or a lot of times you'll just say baseball because the money got out of hand, and I'm like, okay, so you stopped watching something. The sport itself has nothing to do with how much money these guys are making, as far as that goes. That's why we always talk about go see a little league game. You want to see just baseball, that's different. But if I walk into my boss, if I can go in, if I could walk into the to and talk to any boss, and in fact, one of a former GM at a hotel I worked at, we were having this conversation. I said, is it my fault if I walk into your office and I go, I like working here and I want to keep working here, but in order for me to do this, I need you to pay me $1 million a year. When we know that everybody else in my department makes, maybe 40,000 a year, if that. I mean, there's a big difference. But is it my fault if you say yes? You know what? I absolutely will pay you $1 million a year to work here. Whose fault is that? I
Mm-hmm.
guess it's mine because he would have never said yes if I hadn't asked him. It's like in some foreign countries, if you get in a taxi cab and the cab is in an accident, it's your fault. Why? Because if they hadn't picked you up, they wouldn't have been there. Thus, no accident.
Oh my goodness.
So, so when when this comes up, that's what I said. Hey, is it my fault or is it your fault that you're paying me that much more than what you're paying everybody else. And then they're going to come start asking too if it gets out. I said, I'm not going to go tell anybody what I make, but that's the thing. Is it the player's fault? If Shohei goes in, you know what? I'll tell you right now. Shohei's an exception to the rule. So this maybe isn't a good example because I think Shohei would have taken far less money than he did. And that's why he even said, I'll just take the 2 million a year because you can't defer all of it. You got to give me something, I guess.
Yeah.
But I think he also knew that based on where he was for his talent level, for what he's accomplished, his status required for everybody coming up behind him that he set the bar high. Juan Soto's the same thing, regardless of whether we think they should be making this much or not. They have to do that because if Juan Soto or Shohei Ohtani or any of these big name guys come in and say, yeah, you know what, I only want $3 million a year. Well, how? I mean, what are you going to say? Hey, sorry, below, lower level player, average player. Shohei's only taking $3 million. I'm only going to give you 780,000. You're not that valuable comparatively.
Right.
So, I mean, they got to do that. But yeah, I think we all know this is going to last a while. And the only way that it doesn't last a while is if, well, either side could completely just say, never mind, we don't care. We'll just take whatever. But I think it's going to have to take the owners more than the players to get off of this to make it work.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, I really think the onus is on the owners. I think that they have more to, I guess, answer for than the players do. I was just thinking about this because I just had to renew my license for the state, not my driver's license, but my professional license, and there are levels, right? So you have a level one, that's your entry, level two, level three. What if we did that in baseball? What if they had level one players, level two players, level three players? I don't think it would work, but it just was a
Well, they kind
thought.
of do in a
Yeah,
way.
in a
You've
way.
got, because a lot of the guys that are down, say the level one players, are all the players that are in that first 5 years before free agency where there's
Yeah, that's true.
arbitration and all of that. The thing is, though, is that what if you get these guys that come up and they play well for that time frame, and then when they get signed as free agents when they're level two, or I'm guessing at that point you could skip and become like a level five if you're a superstar
Yeah,
or whatever. But what if right after you do that, then you fall apart?
right.
Do you
Yeah.
go back down to
I
that? I
mean,
mean, eh,
that would be, well, right. I mean, you're not meeting your performance levels.
yeah, and well, and like everybody else, that's why there's always that disdain for the money and all that. Is that it's like I know from most of us out here in the real world,
Yeah.
you have certain things you have to meet, and if you don't meet those, nobody's going to pay you more money for not doing that. In fact, you'd be lucky to keep your job. But there's guys who, and right now it's even worse, where it's like you got guys that are hitting in the low 200s on every team that are still making all the money.
Mm-hmm.
They're not, uh, it's interesting that I don't know what, there's got to be a way, but the problem is they let it get so out of hand that the course correction in order to make it happen is going to be very uncomfortable for somebody, and it's probably going to be the players that it's uncomfortable for.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, it's not like you could have, I mean, I guess you kind of like have this sliding scale, right? But, yeah, I don't know. I was just thinking about that. And then of course, like if you somebody like Shohei, well, he already had experience, right? So you have, you know, how sometimes it'll your resume, it's, you know, these qualifications or plus any experience, you know, you have this many years of experience. So
Right.
obviously right there he already gets more than anybody else. So I guess we're kind of just right back where we
Well,
started.
but you could go and say like the other Japanese players that have come over, um, how many, or Korean or from other locations that played in the professional league there. You know, there's not, when you look at it, how many of these guys are, yes, they had previous experience, so they can come in and say, okay, well, I was a supervisor there, so
Right.
now I could take the same kind of slot. But we also know that people go to school in other areas of the world and immigrate to the US and can only be janitors because even though they were a doctor somewhere else, it doesn't meet the same level.
Right. Yeah.
Now, I would think that at that point they know enough. Is there a way to help bring them up to speed? In that case, maybe that's something to be done with players. How many guys, how many of them you sign and then you say, I don't know. Maybe we shouldn't have signed him for that much. I know a lot of people are thinking about like Roki. What did we? And they didn't sign him for that much.
No.
Just like Shohei came over as a potential minor leaguer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean,
So,
but there's a big difference. I think it'll be interesting to watch. I do think I feel like the owners have more to overall answer for it, and there are a lot of owners. If I was a Dodgers and I own the Dodgers, I would be, you know, talking to these other owners and saying, "What is wrong with you? What, you know, do you not is it not do you not like your team? Is it what is it? You know, why do you even have a team? If you're not gonna invest back into the team, then what's the end goal?" And I think, you know, we see that with I mean, we'll see that with the Padres, you know, are being sold or have been sold. Um, but they're continuing. I think that with the sale, this is going to continue their um, their path of what they want to do. You know, getting more superstars. You know, getting a team to build around. I mean, I don't know. We'll
well,
see.
yeah, we'll see. Who knows what the ownership there is, and the ownership may be like, for all we know, they may end up being like Artie Moreno.
They could, right?
They could say, we got whatever we got. They've got players on the books for long term. They're going to have to pay Tatis, even if he never comes back from any slumping, or
Mm-hmm.
that. If Manny's on his way down now, same thing, and um, it just we won't know till they get there. And I haven't taken a look because they own like this guy Feliciano owns. They own like a football team, soccer team,
Mm-hmm.
as well. And I've not looked. I don't know which one he owns, to see, well, what kind of a deal have they had, you know.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so we'll be watching for that. There's no new meetings on the books right now, as far as we know, but the word is they are looking uh, to get together soon to kind of start a little more of the negotiating phase and see if they can head off a lockout come December 1st.
Babe, you better help me out, babe.
It's time for Dodger Baseball.
All right, I don't know about you, but I still don't know if this is exactly how you say it, but I keep hearing them say this on the broadcast, that it's Uniqlo Field.
Yeah, I've heard that too. It doesn't
Uniqlo.
look Uniqlo.
Well, it's because it's like Uniqlo because of the way they write it, UNI and then QLO on the bottom in the little square. But when they say it, they say Uniqlo. Uniqlo. So is it unique glow, kind of the way it's sounding? I'm not sure.
I really don't know. Is it a clothing company? I don't even know.
I
what
think
it
so.
is. That's how much I've paid attention. When I saw the announcement, I was like, yeah, whatever. I'm not calling it that. So I don't care.
It is essentials for less. Find your new favorites today. And they've got, T-shirts and yeah, it's I don't know. I think it's got men's and women's clothing. When I first looked it up, it said retail thing. I've never seen a store, but they've got.
It is, yeah, I haven't either.
So yeah, there's it just it looks like it's probably a Gap type competitor or something like that. Old Navy, I don't know. The clothing is it's pretty standard. It looks like I don't know what their differences are.
Yeah, it's a 5-year naming rights agreement. The contract is over $125 million, so roughly $25 million per year. And but it's a big. This is what's crazy. The corporate sponsorship essentially covers the annual salary of first baseman Freddie Freeman.
Okay.
So there, yeah.
Well,
Like I said, I haven't looked at it. And when I heard that it was going to be Uniqlo Field, I'm like, it's Dodger Stadium, and I'm always going to call it Dodger Stadium. It's the same thing like the pit here in Albuquerque is the pit, even though it has gone through different. It'll say the pit at Rio Grande Credit Union Court,
okay.
or whatever it may be, but nobody calls it that. Everybody calls it the pit.
Right. Yeah. Just like nobody calls it Uniqlo Field.
Nobody's like, oh, I'm
except
going
for
to
those
the
who
game at Uniqlo Field. I'm like,
yeah.
okay, where's that?
Where's that at? Yeah. No, only the people that are contractually obligated.
Right. Maybe they have to say it so many times.
They have to say it, and when they're talking about it. So it's a Japanese brand founded in Yamaguchi, Japan, in 1949. Its global headquarters is in Tokyo, and it's owned by a company called Fast Retailing, and they call their clothing Lifewear.
Oh, okay.
And I just realized that I live about a mile and a half from a Uniqlo store right over here at the mall, which is, like I said, about a mile and a half away.
Nice. You'll have to check it out.
So I can go to horse racing, which is right next door,
Yeah.
to But anyway, they've got all men's and women's fashions there, and now apparently a Major League Baseball field named after them.
Yes.
And now Freddie's contract is covered.
Yeah. I mean, good deal for the Dodgers.
Sure enough. Well, was it a good deal this week for the Dodgers? As we're going to be based on recording this week. We got 1.5 series,
Yeah.
both against NL West. One of them, I guess you could say, is kind of a NL West rival, based on the last few years. The other one, just also a member of the NL West, and that's where we're going to start with the Rockies coming to town for just 3, and they came in on was it just 3?
I thought we
Wednesday.
talked about the Rockies last week.
Did we talk about the Rockies last week?
Yeah, we did. I'm like super confused. I'm like,
I'm like, what? No, we did. Yeah. What? Well, I'm trying to figure out how come that was Wednesday. It was the Phillies that we
the
were thinking about.
Phillies.
You know
Yes.
what? The thing is that my team played the Phillies right before the Dodgers played them,
Mm,
and now they're traveling to Philly
right. Yeah.
to take on the Phillies. So I think that's what threw me off was that yes, they beat the Rockies. So anyway, they did a weekend series with the Phillies. That's what was throwing me off was I kept saying Wednesday. I was like, wait, that's not right. All right. Anyway, so they got the Phillies, and then we'll talk about a couple of the games. The first couple of games between the Dodgers and the Diamondbacks.
Yeah.
So they start off on the Friday night game. Phillies come in overall still on a hot streak, and Kyle Schwarber still hitting the bombs. It looks like he was not just a flash in the pan last year, as he still leads the Major League Baseball with home runs.
Mm-hmm.
Justin Robleski on the hill going against Zach Wheeler. So
Yeah.
one of the better pitchers for the Phillies, and was it what you would hope to see in the
Yeah.
first game of a series?
Yes. Clayton Kershaw was in attendance. Justin Robleski was channeling his mentor.
Had
And
he was throwing that big sweeping curve,
yeah.
bigger than normal for him.
Yes. Yeah, he pitched 7 innings, gave up a hit. He had a no hitter going through 6, and then gave up that hit. Gave up a run. It was a home run to Kyle Schwarber. But he had 9 strikeouts, no walks in this game.
See, that's the important part right there, and I've been
Yeah.
seeing across the board, not only in for the Dodgers or for many, there's a lot of pitchers out there who are throwing. In fact, a guy that we've talked about that we haven't talked about a whole lot, but we've seen when he falls apart, and this is Jose Soriano. Recently I saw, he pitches real well for a while, and then when he falls apart and had like 8 or 9 walks to go
Yeah.
with 8 or 9 strikeouts.
Right.
And
Yeah,
it's
it
like
was like equal on the
you're letting you're giving them, you're giving the other team, you're loading the weapon for them.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Tanner Scott gets his 5th save in this game, but Shohei, Freddie, Max, and Will all hit home runs in this game against off of Zach Wheeler.
So no home runs, no win.
Maybe. I mean,
Well,
but I know
figure
that
that's
they
4
were.
home runs and they only had 6 hits
Yeah.
overall. So they weren't,
Mhm.
if it hadn't been for the ball getting out of the park,
Yeah, who knows? It
we
could
don't
have
know. I
been a
mean,
different outcome. but they win it. They win it for Kirsch, and I think the guys were excited to see him setting there. He was setting right, um, like right there at the on deck circle.
Yeah,
So
I saw that
with
picture. Yeah,
Brad Paisley. So
I saw that too. Yeah, he and Brad.
so guys were excited. So good win for the Dodgers, 4-2. And because you never know that, like you said, the Phillies came in, they've been playing well. Were they looking for some, a little bit of revenge from postseason? Second night, the game, the Dodgers lose 4-3, but they led 3-1 going into the eighth inning. But Edmundo Sosa hit a 3-run home run off of Tanner Scott, and the Phillies go on to win the game. Roki Sasaki pitched in this game. He didn't look bad. I mean, he went 5 1/3 innings, gave up 3 hits, a run, one walk, and 7 strikeouts. Did give up a home run, but um, overall, it was a good outing for him, and I think that's good because he has shown more confidence. We talked about that earlier in the season. Like when I saw him pitch in Colorado, he just did not look comfortable on the mound. He looks a lot more comfortable, a lot more poised on the mound. Um, Mookie was 3 for 4 in this game. He had a double, and Alex Call had an RBI in this game. He was 2 for 4. Alex Call is one of those guys that I really like watching play baseball. In some ways, he kind of reminds me of Chris Taylor in a lot of ways, just because he's out there and he likes to play, and he'll play anywhere. Like wherever they need him. They need him to pinch run. He's gonna do the best that he can do. If he gets a walk, he does his bat flip. I mean, it's like he's just fun to watch. And he was out there. And then I had called this. So Kike Hernandez came back. We talked about this last week. Came back, played 2 games, is back on the IL. Well, before they put Kike on the roster, they had to do some shuffling. So Santiago Espinal was DFA'd. And I said, when I heard that Kike Hernandez was going on the IL, I was like, Santiago Espinal will be back. And he has been back, and he's been playing. He was 0 for 2 in this game, but he did have an RBI. And he's been playing third, trying to give Max Muncy got hit on the wrist, so still sore, but giving him, a break here and there. So that's been good to have him back with the Dodgers. I do want to address one thing, though. In this game, Tanner Scott was the one who gave up the home run, and the Phillies win. But after the game, or the next day, it was reported that Tanner Scott's wife was, and him, but his wife in particular, they death threats against them.
Mm-hmm.
And those are people that are not Dodger fans. Dodger fans are not going to death threats against a pitcher. And really, anybody who does that is a loser. I mean, you need to get over yourself. This is a game. In the whole scheme of things, if the Dodgers lose this game, it's not, I don't think this one game is going to ruin their season. And
Right.
even if they, even if it, even if it did, right, it still does not warrant anyone to be on their side of the computer, on their phone, hiding their face, saying, you're going to die, your kids are going to be in a pool of blood. I mean, horrible, horrible stuff. And I almost feel like these kind of things, because it's happening over the internet, that they need to be reported to the police, the FBI, whoever, because these are the type of people that you don't want walking on the streets.
Right. Yeah, there's no reason for any of that. Now I know that um, there was quite a few articles locally that came out, and it's like Tanner Scott returns to old form because of the blown save. and the problems that he had. Um,
Well, I've always
you know,
been, I've always been this way because I think you see it happen. You can have a good pitcher, the closer, and they can come in two, three, nights in a row and get the save. But then they're going to have an off night. And I think for Tanner Scott, he hasn't, he's really, excuse me, it's turned himself around from last season where was like, really? Do we really have to have Tanner Scott come
mhm.
in? This is not good. To, okay, I think he's back to form. I think a lot of that too last year was that he was dealing with something that he was just trying to work through, and that didn't work for him.
Right, and you look at it here, even with giving up those 3 runs, uh, he still only got a 2.19 ERA.
Yeah.
So, that's and that's something too because with the small amount of innings that any relief pitcher throws, it can take a while to bring it back down. It doesn't take
Mhm.
that much to take it up.
Right.
Yeah, but yeah, that's unfortunate. Even if you're not a Dodgers fan, there's no reason why people should say the things like that. And we've seen it happen not only here, but of all things, it's not like they were eliminated from playoff contention because of this one bad outing. Not that that excuses it either, but that I get the stakes were higher. Here, it's just a random game of 162.
Yeah.
Come on.
Exactly. Yeah. It has no place in sports. And if that's how you feel, maybe you should find something else. Maybe take up crocheting or, you know, I don't know, poetry. But it's
Something, yeah, I don't know
not.
about the poetry thing.
Well, that could be some pretty dark
Right,
poems.
that's what I was gonna say. It could be,
So
but who knows?
crochet,
Yeah.
painting, maybe not even painting, I don't know. But something else. Go for a walk before, like, stop and think before you're going to post something because it could come back to
But
bite
yeah,
you.
you're right. You can do that from behind a wall where nobody has to see you or has to, you know.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
oh well. All right.
All
Uh,
right.
so Dodgers lose that one. It's tied up. Rubber match hits on Sunday, and I think the Dodgers made it clear to the Phillies um, that they're the better team.
Yes. Yeah. Dodgers win this game 9-1. Yoshi Yamamoto is on the mound. Pitches five in the third innings. Normally goes a little bit longer than that, but he had given up 4 hits, didn't give up any runs, 2 walks, but had 10 strikeouts in this game. And Kyle Schwarber, 0 for 4, 3 strikeouts in this game. But Ryan Ward had been called up and he hit his first major league home run, which is very impressive for someone born in 1899, according to the scoreboard or the info board, I guess. Um, but also Alex Friedland, um, not right after, but the
He's like,
next like 2 batters later, also hit a home run. And they're good buddies, play in Oklahoma City. And so that was really cool for those two to have that that day. Otani's 2 for 5. Andy Pye has had a triple. Freddie had a double. Tucker had a double. Max Muncy had a home run. It's always good to see Max hitting those home runs and back in form, even with a sore wrist. But yeah, so good series versus the Phillies. And really, even that second game wasn't a bad game, but it's just a ill placed pitch, and Sosa took advantage. So, I mean, really, that's all it was.
mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
good game, a good series against the Phillies.
Yeah, bullpen, with the exception of, he says Yoshi gave up 4 of the Phillies' 5 hits, and both Will Klein and Edgardo Enriquez held him hitless. And then Jonathan Hernandez, who went for 2 full innings, gave up 1 hit and 1 run to him, but that was all.
That was
That
it.
1 run, that was it. All
That
right,
is
so they pack up the things and head east out of Dodgertown, LA, and head to the Valley of the Sun,
yes. They
Phoenix,
head
Arizona.
yes to Chase Field to take on the Diamondbacks for 4 games. And so we're going to talk about 2 of them, just as you mentioned, because of um, the way our recording schedule. But we got a mixed bag here. First game, and I'm blacked out from this, so can't watch it. I do follow along, but I saw it and I was like, "Oh, the Dodgers are up like 2-1, or maybe it was no 1-0." Then it
Right.
was tied, and then the Diamondbacks were up 2-1, and I was like, "Okay, but the Dodgers still have time to, come back." And they did not. They lost the game 4-1. Um, Emmett Sheehan's on the mound, pitches 6 1/3 innings, no walks, but gave up 2 home runs. So and 3 strikeouts. Jack Dreyer, who just got off the IL, did not help the cause. He pitched 1 inning and gave up the other 2 runs, and also a home run. So not great. Otani had a great night. He was 3 for 4 with the double. Freddie Freeman, who loves playing in Arizona, plays well there, was 0 for 4 in that game, which was pretty crazy. So that he normally plays really well there. But it was Nolan Arenado and Ketel Marte and rookie Tommy Troy who all had home runs this in the 6th, the 7th, and the 8th. So
Yeah, they went up against Eduardo Rodriguez, who they chased after a few seasons ago when he was with the Tigers, and he ended up not going there, and then
oh
in the
right.
off season signed
Yes.
with the D-backs. And you know what? While when you look at his line, it doesn't look like it's that big of a deal. I mean, he does go 6 innings, only gives up 5 hits, only struck out 3. But watching him pitch, he seemed to have more control. They weren't really picking up on him,
No.
and except for Shohei apparently.
Yeah, Shohei was the only one. Everyone else, I mean, Andy Pajas had a hit, and then Mookie had a hit, but
Yeah,
that's
it's
pretty
just
much it.
Shohei had
So
half of the 6 total hits.
yes,
So
um, yeah. So Dodgers are 0-1 right now in this series, but we do go to the next game, and the Dodgers win this game. Eric Lauer, their new acquisition from who had played with Toronto, is on the mound, and he goes 4 2/3 innings, gives up 5 hits, 2 runs, 1 walk, 1 strikeout, and gave up a home run. So not a great outing.
no, his last
Um,
outing was definitely better.
Yes, definitely. The Dodgers do go on to win this game 6-5. But a Trinan and Henriquez, they hold the Diamondbacks scoreless, but it was Kyle Hurt who came in and pitched 2/3 of an innings, who gave up 3 runs. And so the Diamondbacks were trying to come back, but Tanner Scott came in and got his 6th save for the season. Shohei was 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs. He had a double and a triple. And Freddie Freeman back to Arizona form, 3 for 5, 2 RBIs with a 2-run home run. So they'll have 2 more games in Arizona. And they'll be back at the Ravine for the weekend series against the Angels.
Yes, and Tyler Glass now bobblehead night
Yes, that's right.
on one of those games. So where are we
And
here?
then, so they head back to the Ravine, and then they do head out on a road trip, which will take them to Pittsburgh and Chicago to play the White Sox.
All right, who's your player of the week?
My player of the week is Freddie Freeman. He was batting 300, so he's 6 for 20, had 6 RBIs, 2 home runs, and a double, and he just looks like Freddie again. Smiling, he's smiling more. There's times where you can tell where he's kind of going through it. He's not smiling as much. Um, at home at first base, he always talks to the players, but now he's like he sometimes he's not as jokey. He's more jokey with the
Jokey the joke man.
yeah, and so that's good to see. Like in the I think it was a Sunday game, Riamuto challenged a call,
Oh, yeah.
and Freddie didn't like that. It was overturned. It was a strike, and so he, you know, acted like he kicked dirt at Riamuto for for challenging that call. So stuff like that, you can see where he's just feeling where he's just Freddie.
Yeah,
So
he's just having fun with it. That's always a good thing.
yeah,
I'm I had a split here between where I wanted to go, and I think I'm gonna give mine to Tanner Scott. I thought about Shohei, but I'm gonna give it to Tanner Scott just because he had that bad outing, all those things said, and then the next day he comes out and returns to form. Like you guys, the reports of my demise are
yeah,
greatly overstated here.
exactly. That's a good one. Yeah.
All right, I got to start off this segment with an apology that I don't know as much about the Padres yet as I should. I have been reading all the stories that come out. Kevin Ossie, I think is how you say his name, who is the beat reporter from the Union Tribune, writes some good stuff, a lot of good information. And, it wasn't until I got to watch a game that was a nationally televised game so that I could get more familiar. I mean, I know the guys, but I haven't really seen them play this year. You know, like I can turn on the TV and I can see Dodger games, I can see Angel games.
Right.
But unless it's a national TV, I can't just buy the Padres.TV. I can only get MLB.TV. So it's like, try to figure out. So I'm still learning with these guys and figuring them out. What I can say, and I'm sure that a lot of Padre fans, from what I've read, and the beat reporters and all are thinking the same thing. Thank goodness May is over. The May gray, hoping no June gloom, which are weather things that we deal with here in Southern California at this time of year. 11-15 is what the Padres went on the month of May. And they just there were times where they had a lead, gave it up, never got it back. Did have a walk-off, but way back on May 10th, they walked off the Cardinals. Other than that, plenty of games where there was close scores, just couldn't put it together and get anything done. A lot of guys left in scoring position, a lot of runners left in scoring position. If I went back through the month, I probably would be amazed by what the amount of times that because they went like 0 for 40 nearly with runners in scoring position during one stretch. So they're still. This is where they came out of the gate strong. Lots of W's in April, and that's why they still have a winning record right now. They're 32-27, but at one point they were in first place because the Dodgers weren't winning anything. But now that the Dodgers seem to be winning, it definitely shows that at some point here they're going to have to turn it around. And thought that moment of aha and things are about to turn happened in Washington, but maybe not. So we'll also look at. We're just going to look basically here with the Padres this time. 3 games. We could talk about the one game in Philly, but they get swept by the Phillies as we talked about last week. They head out to Washington D.C., take on the high scoring. I guess depending on the sport, you'd say, the high flying, if they were in basketball, the high flying Washington Nationals, who outscore everybody. They have the highest runs scored and the highest runs against. And they're, playing right around 500, but there's a lot going on that you definitely want to watch. In fact, too bad you guys aren't there like you used to be, where you could easily get to. Well, it's DC. Who knows how easy it is, but
It's not. Yeah,
still.
it's not too hard. Just get on the metro to the Green Line.
So, but yeah, so they the Padres walk in. They go, you know what? We've had enough of this losing stuff. And the Washington Nationals have a losing record or a 500 record. We can beat these guys. And it took a little bit, but they were able to do it. They walk off with a 7-5 win. Mason Miller gets his 17th save on the season. And, we've talked a lot about, and as everywhere has, they've talked a lot about Fernando Tatis and his lack of power. But he's still playing good defense and has been playing really good at second base. And then they can move him. You know who it kind of reminds me of, as far as like the positional thing? Mookie.
Oh yeah.
Second base, right field.
Yeah.
And Fernando goes 3 for 5 with an RBI. So, and he's leading off. He's getting on base. So it's just a matter of, if he can keep doing that, we don't need him to hit the home runs.
Yeah, just play some small ball.
We need to get the rest of these guys hitting. And he's been followed up a fair amount of times. In this game, it was Gavin Sheets, who instead of playing first base, Ty France was there, in left field, and he gets a couple of hits as well. So if he can get those hits, he's been hitting second behind Tatis pretty consistently. If he can get those hits, and he's been getting hits, he should be able to help move things, get things going. You need Xander Bogaerts has been, up and down. Manny, even though he's got 10 home runs on the season, just is having a hard time putting the bat to the ball. He's only batting 171. Jackson Merrill's had his issues with his injuries. So, and then Miguel Andujar is kind of settling in. He had been batting up in the 280s, 290s. He's down around 265, so he's kind of coming back to earth. Ramon Laureano, who's normally pretty tough, is having his issues. We'll talk about him a little bit later. Ty France, home run in this first game, goes 2 for 3. And then Fermin is the catcher. He's, you just wonder what they have. Do they have somebody else? I mean, he's not a bad catcher, but I just feel like, they've had better catchers there. I mean, he's no Benito Santiago.
Yeah, yeah, definitely not.
Not, and then they've had the more I've watched, I've seen in this case too, they're dealing with the starting pitching's been okay, but they're dealing with a lot of injuries. I know Herman Marquez, who went out in early May, is now doing a rehab start. So he might be, coming back up. They've got, Giolito, who starts this, it ends up really being a bullpen game.
Yeah, I mean, he only pitched 2 2/3 innings, so.
But they were able to hold on and take out the and even then the Nationals able to score 5 runs on them.
Mm-hmm.
So if not for them, picking it up a little bit, Jackson Merrill had a home run as well, which I didn't mean to overlook that. Jackson, talk about all the bad things that are going on. He did hit a home run.
Yeah, and that one in the 7th was the one that helped the Padres win.
That's the game winner right there.
Yeah.
Since nothing else is scored for the rest of the game, that was the go ahead.
Yeah.
So it looked, you kind of, when you look at where they are compared to where you think the Nationals are, it's like, okay, that's good. That's what we want to see, something like that. And maybe we're starting to see a little bit of a turn here as we're finding our way out of May. But remember, there's still 2 more May games to get through.
Yes. Yeah.
And that wasn't really. Nope. Once again, now here's the game that we thought everything was going to turn around on, and that going forward, losing days are gone from the Padres. Michael King on the mound, and Michael King's, even though he goes 6, he gives up 5 runs. He only strikes out 2 and just walks 1, but he's right now their ace. And his last few outings have not been good. Or they've been going 6 innings. You're happy to see him go there, but is it more like, hey, we're going to let you go because we just don't really have any arms in the bullpen that are ready for this? Because even the bullpen's been having a little bit of an issue here and there. The Nationals are, they get are back to, like we said, high scores. They throw they put up 9, including a 6-run 7th inning. And that's where you had Michael King comes in. He faces 4 batters in the 7th inning. When they pull him, there's 3 on. That's what Bradley Rodriguez, who gets the blown save in this, who only gives up 1 hit and 2 runs, and the only reason he technically gives up 2 home runs, or 2 runs, not home runs, 2 runs, is because he inherited 3 runners
Yes.
and all 3 scored.
Yeah, not ideal. Definitely not.
That's where since I've noticed that stat whenever early in this podcast,
Mm-hmm.
that's become like a big one for me when I look at the it's not that, hey, you know what, Michael King got those 3 runs. They were tacked onto him. They were his responsibility. He left them there.
Mm-hmm.
But when I call in the bullpen, I want my bullpen to limit that. They need to mitigate the loss. If you give up
Right.
1 run, you give up 1 run of that, but you don't let all 3 of the inherited runners score. You
Yeah, you don't.
inherited the bases loaded and you let them all score.
Yeah, that's not what it means when you're coming in for relief. It's
Right.
to let everybody score.
But yeah, it was everybody gave up runs. Even Wandy Peralta gives up a couple of runs. But so the Nationals show who the Nationals are. They put up all those runs like we've been talking about. That's been their thing. They've got guys who are I expect to see some of these guys become perennial all-stars like CJ Abrams, James Wood. I wouldn't be surprised to see, depending on what the Nationals do, because they have been known to give up players at certain times to drop payroll.
Mm-hmm.
The Dodgers might be in the neighborhood looking for a shortstop here before long, because not to say that Mookie's done, but Mookie's getting to a point where he will be.
Yeah.
It's just like looking for a first baseman,
Mm-hmm.
Well, the Dodgers have a good track record of pulling in guys like CJ Abrams or James Wood even. And remind me when we start around baseball, before we get to players or of the week or month, I forgot something about the Dodgers that I need to share.
Okay.
Anyway, so that's okay. It's just one, right?
It's just
The
one.
thing is, though, they shouldn't have lost this game, because the one thing that we've been waiting for all season long as diehard Padre fans, our one thing on the wish list finally came true. Fernando Tatis Jr. gets his first home run of the season, and it's not a little home run. It's like 480 feet worth of a home run.
Yes. It's a big one. And it was a big day. I mean, 2 for 5 with the home run. Yeah. And the first of the season, which is crazy that
It's taken this long.
yeah,
He
to
finally
do
hits
it.
that home run, and they lose. Shouldn't hit when he hit a home run? Shouldn't have automatically win. Padres win. There shouldn't have been any more. The game's over.
Yeah, that's it.
The thing is that really Xander Bogaerts goes yard. Manny Machado goes
Mm-hmm.
yard.
Yeah.
Fernando Tatis does his in the 5th inning. That was the last of the home runs. All of them off of Foster Griffin, the starter for the Nationals. You would think that when those 3 big names all hit home runs in a game, that's it. It should just been in the 5th inning. They would go on and score one more in the 8th inning, but right there in the 5th, when Fernando Tatis, that should have just been like Padres win, flashing on the big thing up there, and across every scoreboard. Fernando Tatis hits his first home run, but no,
No, and I think
no.
I mean, I think we looked at Tatis looked at last week, and then this week he was 3 for 5 in the first game, 2 for 5 with this first home run in the second game. But th- there's I don't know. Does he need to be moved somewhere? Where does he hit? Is he the leadoff? Right.
Yeah, he's a leadoff hitter. I don't know that he needs to be moved because he is hitting.
Right,
He's just
but
not. He's just not. The power is not there, so he's not putting him out of the ballpark. But like I said before, if I can get the guys behind him to hit the home runs or to at least a little better situational hitting,
right,
I don't care if he hits home runs or not because he's getting on base. And I'd rather
right.
have him get up there and then Gavin Sheets come up and double, or hit a
Hmm.
home run, or Miguel Andujar or Manny come up and drive him in.
Yeah,
And then that way we're getting two instead of just one.
right.
Leadoff home run is nice, but he's getting on base. I mean, he's not, like I said, that he's hitting in the 270s. So he's had his ups and his downs, but he's hitting 270s and he's getting on base. Whereas Manny Machado, even though he's got, like I said, 10, 11 home runs, that may have been his um, 10th on the season, the one that he hit here, um, is batting 178. So he's not hitting in the situations he needs to hit in.
Hmm. Yeah,
So
yeah.
I
I
don't
think
know that they need to move Tatis necessarily. Maybe they need to move somebody else around. Um, but I don't really see because Xander Bogaerts has hit higher, he's hit lower. Maybe Ty France hitting a little higher.
yeah. I mean,
It's
maybe you give the guys that are hitting, that are being consistent.
yeah,
Maybe you move them up and move the guys because, like Jackson Merrill, I think he's a big part of the Padres lineup. We know he'd been on the IL. He came, he's come back. He first game he hit the home run that ultimately leads the Padres to win the game. He was 1 for 4 in that game, but then the next game he's 0 for 3, and then the next game, the third game of the series, he's 3 for 4.
right.
So
But the
it's like,
problem the problem there is it's like watching, well, we were kind of talking about with the Dodgers. You got Shohei Otani
hmm
is 3 for 4, and everybody else is 0 for.
right, yeah,
In this
it's not
game,
helpful.
the game after the home run, you thought that's it. Everything's going to break open. And by the end of May, Fernando Tatis is going to have 3 home runs because he's going to hit
Oh,
2 in the next game. And
right,
that's just going to, and the floodgates. And when you read what the fans and what everybody's expecting for in San Diego, they're all like, that's all it's going to take is one. And now we're in 0-4-4. Now, at least he didn't strike out 4 times, but he went 0-for-4. And
yes,
Gavin Sheets, 0-for-4. Manny Machado, who moved up into the third spot, 0-for-4. Xander Bogaerts, 1-for-3, scores a run. Um, and uh, Jackson Merrill, like you said, 3-for-4. And then they only got 2 other hits, Ty France and then Nick Castellanos. Each grab hit, but then after that, there's nothing. Nobody's hitting anything, and and this is where they've got guys that they need to figure out the pitching. They've got too many guys on the IL from the pitching staff that you're having to use guys who have never been that great overall
Mm-hmm.
as innings eaters. We know
Right.
Griffin Canning,
Yeah.
and
We know
the
he's not. Yeah.
we saw him have some big moments over the 7 years of this podcast,
Mm-hmm.
but we also saw that once he left the Angels last year, we never really heard about him again. You know, um, he didn't pitch very well for the Mets, and he's 0 for 4 on the season. He did throw 5 innings, but his ERA is 7 plus. And the one thing that we know that has helped um, the Padres is that if they can get a lead early, the bullpen has been able to keep them in there. But with Canning pitching, Giolito, and Michael King kind of fallen off, it's it's just not helping. And they really need to get the offense up and running. I think the pitching is serviceable. That if they can score some runs, they've been able to keep some teams from scoring a lot of them. Obviously, not the Nationals, but they've had some close games and just not been able to. If they could score a couple of extra runs here or there, it would be they'd be all right.
I just saw this. This is from the Athletic, a stat. So you're talking about how the Padres are glad that May is over. So the previous time that the Padres they scored 88 runs in the month of May, and the last time that happened, where they scored 88 or fewer runs in a calendar month, was also May of 2017, when Will Myers was the only member of the roster who was signed to an 8-figure contract. Will Myers. And then in this year, they batted 200, as you mentioned. But when they were at home, they had a 175 batting average. So, yeah. May is just not a good month
May Gray.
for the Padres.
Nope, it doesn't seem like it. So you think, okay, let's we'll take a day off to go from Washington to Philly.
Yeah, not a long trip, like 3 hours.
So you get up there and you get settled in, you get a full day off, and you say, all right, Phillies, you did it to us last time, but we're going to get you this time. Well, since we don't know what the whole series looks like yet, let's take just game one. Since that's all we have true knowledge of. Aaron Nola. I don't know where that came from. Aaron Nola on the hill for the Phils, and then we had Randy Vasquez for the Dregs, and you know what? Yeah, he goes 5 innings, only strikes out 3. And I think we've seen this before. There's certain times that certain pitchers just need more. They don't pitch badly, but they need more offensive support than they get.
Mm-hmm.
And while after a down game and that last game in DC, Fernando Tatis back 3 for 4.
Yeah.
Gavin Sheets puts one out of the yard, and 1 for 4, 2 RBIs. Which was him and Tatis, and yeah, that was pretty much it. In the 3rd inning, that was the end of their scoring. They couldn't get anything else done. They only get 7 hits. Like I said, it was, but that's where we were kind of talking. Tatis got on base. Sheets hits a home run.
Yeah.
I mean, it would have been fine too if Sheets gets on base too, and then Machado does something.
Yeah.
But we can't even hold our breaths that he's going to do anything. And
He
and
didn't do
then
anything.
yeah, he didn't do anything. Miguel Andujar did go 2 for 4 in this, another 0 for 4 with a couple of strikeouts for Jackson Merrill. When you look at it, the three highest paid players on this team: Jackson Merrill, Manny Machado, and Fernando Tatis Jr., followed in by Xander Bogaerts.
Yeah. What are they doing?
I don't know. And I know that little break in silence was me putting my hands in the air
Yeah.
because you couldn't see it. But Jace Bowen makes his debut. Finally makes church because Ramon Laureano's issues. Yeah, the Phillies had their way. Bryce Harper with a home run in that game. They didn't really have a lot going on for themselves overall, except that they were able to score one more run when they needed it.
Yeah. That's really what it came down to. They just got the one more run, and the Padres scored early in the third, and then Philly tied it up in the fourth, and that was it. I mean, Phillies came back, scored in the sixth, but San Diego couldn't do anything after that.
Yeah, they didn't have anything going, and so in the next game, uh, the the pitching matchup, Walker Bueller, who's once again had his moments, but he's still on his way back. He's looking better,
Yeah.
but he's still on his way back. And then they're having to look at one of the guys who's like one of the top pitchers, which we might see because Jackson Merrill had a couple hits off of him last time, in Christopher Sanchez,
Mm-hmm.
who's definitely on that long list of National League pitchers who are competing for the Cy Young.
And I gotta say, it is so weird to see Walker Bueller in a Padres uniform, but he almost doesn't look like the Walker Bueller that I know from the Dodgers because he has this mustache. And so, at least in his picture. So I'll just think about that
Yeah,
because
that
he just,
different look.
yeah, he's going with a different look for the brown and gold. Or is it
All
yellow?
right.
I don't know. I don't know.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I guess yellow. I don't know. Gold. I'm looking
Gold
at it.
sounds
Looks kind of.
better.
Yeah, I think it is more brown and gold. You know
Yeah,
what I like about it? The one thing is that it's different.
definitely. Yeah.
When you look around, you have. Is there any American League team that's brown and gold,
Mm.
or brown and anything?
Well, I think brown in anything. I mean, it's not normally a color choice that people are like, oh, let's be brown. Let's
Right.
be, a drab. I don't know.
So really, the only
But
other
I mean,
team that kind of matches up, because you look, there's almost one team per league that kind of matches up. There's a lot of
yeah,
blues,
y'all always
there's
blues,
a lot of red,
reds. Mm-hmm.
but there are no there's only one American League team that's green. In fact, one baseball team that's green, right?
Yeah.
I mean, fully green. Um, and that's the A's, or the Athletic,
Right. Yeah.
and they're that green and gold. The Padres, brown and gold.
Yeah.
Um, you've got like the black and orange. You've got the Orioles
Yeah. And the
and the Giants.
black and gold with the pirates.
Black and
So,
gold there. So, but there's only
but I
two
mean, it
black and
makes
oranges.
it makes sense. I mean, the Padres and the Padres, the robes are
Well, yeah, it
brown.
sounds the Friars,
The
the
friars, so they wore
yeah.
brown robes. So yeah, I mean, it definitely makes them stand out. And I do like, San Diego is a military town, and I do like that they. I think it's every. I know that when they're at home,
Sundays usually
is it Sundays? Okay, I was gonna say I thought it was usually Sundays, where they wear their military um,
themed. Yeah.
uniforms, and I think that's really cool. So.
Yeah, they're definitely you can always see. I think they still give out free tickets to the Navy. I don't know how much they do. Um,
Hmm.
I think they do that. They used to do that at the old stadium at Qualcomm or Jack Murphy,
Yeah,
because I went to a few times free games down there.
cool.
So they're going to wrap up. Padres are going to wrap things up. They've got two more here in Philly with the Thursday game at day game 105, and then back home to Petco to take on the Mets and see if they can overcome that and see if they can quiet down, cool down a former teammate who is starting to heat up in
Mm.
Juan Soto. And then they'll welcome in the Reds from Cincinnati before they hit the road for a long road trip. They got a 9-dayer coming up. We'll talk about all that coming up. Uh, Player of the week, much to your chagrin.
And much to my chagrin, I'm going to give it to Fernando Tatis Jr. for finally hitting a home run,
Yep, me too. That's where I
and I
was
hope he
going.
doesn't hit anymore the rest of the
Hey, you know
season.
what? I'm okay with him not hitting anymore if the guys behind him can get him in. If he keeps getting on base,
Hmm.
that's what you need from him. Um, you know what I am curious though is why. Why is it that he's having such a hard time with that this
It's a
season?
hard knocks life for Fernando.
Yep. All right, the brown and the blue of the bullpen cart is shining in the lights here, and we got it fired up. I don't know how much that those exhaust pipes are needed on this hot rod, electric hot rod bullpen cart, but it is time to take a ride around baseball. Now, before we get here, last week I did like I always do. I teased something and then didn't pay it off.
Oh, well, that's normal for
Right.
us.
So I said that there was a player that I think many Dodger fans are wondering or hoping won't that they'll take their opt out as quickly as it comes.
Hmm.
And I don't know if you agree with this, but I kind of feel like um, maybe even the Dodgers management might be feeling this way too. And that's Kyle Tucker.
I agree. I know. I totally agree. He doesn't fit in. He just doesn't. He's done. He just is like. This sounds bad, but it's almost like they're picking teams, and they're like, all right, we'll take Kyle, you know, and
Right.
then they
He's the
pay him
last
a bunch of
one. And
money, right? Which he shouldn't have been. I totally disagreed with how much money he's getting paid. But he's I just I'm gonna root for him because he's a Dodger, but I don't feel that he gels well, in the with the team.
Well, right now he doesn't. He's only hitting 235. He's hit 4 home runs. Uh, he's got a 103 OPS plus, so he's slightly above average, which is good. You don't want to see him at 80. Um,
Right. Yeah.
but his OPS is only at 715. You'd expect him to be over 800 at least. Uh, his he's what, like almost well, he's about 120 points below his career average on slug. So he's just not hitting anything hard. Um, he's I guess I would think that he'd be doing something more by now.
Right. I mean, they made a big deal about, oh, he had four triples last year and he has two with the Dodgers. Um, but he's just not, I don't know. There's just something about him. And I don't know if it's maybe a bias of mine because I know he didn't play for the Astros during that time, but he was an Astro. And I just, yeah, maybe I, maybe I have to get past that. I'm still rooting for him,
Well, he got
but
there the year after.
yeah,
He only played 28 games, and then 22 in 2019 for the Asterix. Um, but let's see, what did he do? I was looking at, and I'd have to look better. I didn't do a lot of homework on this, but because I'm looking right now at Baseball Reference, and I know he had a hard time to start in Chicago,
yeah.
but I mean, he does end up with a 4.5 WAR, which is pretty much in line with his last year in Houston. Um, so it's just the question is right now he's just got a 1 WAR through 58 games. Um, he ended up he's got 27 RBIs. He had 73 last year. Um, 22 home runs with 4 so far this year.
And he was injured last year, and played injured, which, what, is never good. I want to give him the benefit of the doubt to say, well, it is a new team. I think it's a very, I think of all the teams in MLB, it's a very different team to walk into a clubhouse where you have Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman, and of course Shohei Otani there, among others.
Well, and
He's,
you're not only that, but you have guys who have experience with, even some of these lesser guys, like we talked about a middle guy like Max Muncy.
yeah,
Max still has, the same amount of, he's got the same trophies.
mm-hmm,
Now
right,
Kyle's got one
yeah,
that he got in Houston, but these guys have and have been together, but and there's a different idea. And he goes from a team where even with the Cubs, he was more in a leadership role.
mm-hmm,
And here he goes back to like being where he was when he started in Houston.
right,
Even
yeah. I mean,
maybe in
and
the
if you,
middle there, because as long as he was in Houston, as long as any of those guys, as long as Tiny was there or Correa or any of the old guys were there,
mm-hmm,
he he was just a kid.
right,
You weren't here with us when we it's like Die Hard, right there when he goes, "Oh, I wish I would have been with you guys in Grenada or whatever." And they're like, "Yeah, we wish you would have been here too." He's out of the picture because you're not really part of the team. He's
yeah.
come into that, but that's the question. Does he need to feel like he's, in Chicago, he had to pick up and kind of take a leadership role. Here, he doesn't.
Well, but to me, it seems like if you don't have that pressure of being, you just get to play.
That's
And
what
so
I'm
go
saying.
out there and play. And I just, he's a wild card for me, because I just don't see right now in what I've seen him as a Dodger is just, yeah, I'm not impressed. And I know Mickey Rowe is, trying to help him acclimate. I see him in the dugout, he's teaching him the different things, and he
But
still doesn't even do that right.
even that, I've noticed on all of the players, it's kind of gotten like, okay, we need some new things.
They do need
Because
some
there
new
used to
things.
be, when they first started some of those things that they do, like the Freddie and all that, there was a snap to it. They were
Hmm.
excited about it. Now that's just like, oh yeah, whatever. I forgot. What?
It's true. Yeah, they
I'm on
definitely
base,
need.
okay?
Yeah,
Woo! You
the
know,
Dodgers need something, and maybe they'll get something when they have their Dodgers Foundation, because that their gala that they have, because that's where the whole Freddie thing came from, was him dancing and him,
right. Well,
and
and
so
maybe maybe they need to, when do the Dodgers play Tampa? Um, and do they play them? When do they play them? And do they play them in, where it doesn't matter where they play them, but maybe at that point they need to talk to, what's his name? Um,
McCullough. No, that's
no,
Miami.
what's his name? Gavin Lux.
Yeah, Gavin Lux. I
They need
was
to
like,
talk to
I'm
Gavin
thinking of the
Lux.
wrong guy.
Yeah, not the coach. No, they
Yeah,
got, because Gavin Lux had, when he was like, shooting a 3-pointer, or not that he did the like, patting his head from like they
yeah,
dunked on him,
yes.
thing. They at least picked that up and that gave them something.
Hmm.
Yeah, let's see. They've got Tampa at home coming up in mid June. So,
Yeah, maybe Gavin can help them with something. I don't know. They do need, that is true, because they're not. Yeah, it's like,
honestly, I don't care if they're
yeah.
going to fall apart for the purposes of this show. Fall apart. You know what? As long as, the one thing that the only team that both the Dodgers and the Padres have to keep an eye out for is the D-backs.
Yes, that's very true.
And if the Dodgers start to fall apart, all I need is for the Padres to do that, because then I can really start rubbing it in to you.
Hmm.
Once again, I need to make this completely clear. I didn't stop being an Angels fan and just dropped them and became a Padres fan. I became a Padres fan because there needed to be something else to talk about that might do this. And these are two teams that are going to be battling it out unless one of them completely falls apart. And we know
Right.
right now the team that looks like that could happen would be the Padres, but we're hoping that that doesn't happen, in that they turn it around in June, and that May was just that month. Because look at
Right.
it, Phillies, people were ready to write them off after
Yeah.
going, having a harsh start to the season.
Hmm.
Even the Mets, uh, are closer to 500 than they were, and looking better than some of these other teams. So, things can change. Um, and with that, what are we doing? Players of the week?
Yeah, let's do players of the week. Major League Baseball's Players of the Week in the American League, New York Yankees, Ben Rice. He was 12 for 26 with a 462 batting average, four doubles, two triples, a home run, 8 runs scored, and 11 RBIs with a 658 slugging percentage and a 1.056 OPS.
He and Judge tied up for home run lead on there. And of course, I think you got something about Judge coming up. So,
And then for the National League, we go to Milwaukee and the Brewers' Jacob Mizorowski. He was 2-0 with a 0.64 ERA. He gave up one earned run and 5 hits across 14 innings, 20 strikeouts with a 0.43 whip.
which once again, here we are talking about this insane list of National League pitchers that are all right now in the thick of it for the Cy Young. And I think Mizorowski is at the top of that list right now based on what he's doing. Skubal, obviously Shohei, but Shohei for all the years to pick to decide he's going to win a Cy Young, these guys are not going to make it easy on him.
Nope, not at all. And then, because it's the end of the month, the end of May, we have the Major League Baseball Players of the Month. And the American League Player of the Month is out of Sacramento, the Athletics' Nick Kurtz. He hit .333 with 5 home runs, 26 RBIs, and a 1.025 OPS. Had 21 walks in 28 games, and his on-base streak is 48 games.
Wow.
And then the National League Player of the Month is JJ Bleday of the Reds, who was DFA'd by the Athletics in November. He hit .301, had 8 home runs, 25 RBIs, and a 1.018 OPS. And he had the highest OPS among National League players with 75 or more plate appearances. So making himself known in Cincinnati.
That's always cool when you see guys do that. They get released someplace else, but they turn it around and
yeah, and so hopefully he keeps that up. For pitchers of the month, we head to the American League and to Houston. Spencer Aragati. I said it wrong. I always say it right. Aragati. Anyway, he allowed 3 runs and 5 May starts with a 0.93 ERA. His season ERA is a 1.34, and that is second behind Shohei Ohtani. He also gave up 1 run in 13 and a third total innings. In the National League, this really is no surprise. Christopher Sanchez from the Phillies, 5 starts, no runs. He went at least 7 innings in all 5 starts, 45 strikeouts in 39 innings. And he now has the franchise record for scoreless streak, which was held by Grover Cleveland Alexander.
yes, named after the president.
Yes. So now he is number 1.
He's number 1. He's number 1.
And we also have rookies of the month in the American League. Muna, I was practicing this so I could say it just right, and then of course I can't. Munataka Murakami, right? The Japanese player on the White Sox. I just butchered his name.
Yeah, we just talked about him.
I know. Murakami.
Yes, who's I think last week you talked about him because he was on the IL.
Yes.
And yes, he I mean
yes. So sorry about that. I'll work on it. 8 home runs, 18 runs, 556 slugging, and 938 OPS.
It's kind of interesting to go back real quick. Yeah, you know what? The White Sox the White Sox really got one past everybody when they signed him.
Definitely.
Because I don't think anybody expected. It's just like the kid, and we were going to talk about this before, and I forgot about it. In the other guy who was a bigger name coming out of Japan, Okamoto, who went to Toronto,
Oh yeah.
and he took 2 steps back in the box, and all of a sudden he's Ted Williams.
Yeah.
He's hitting well.
He was taking advice that Pete Rose had has been had
He,
given.
yeah,
You know,
you
you
just
need to step up. You need to use the box. It's
that's right.
there. It's called the batter's box for a reason. Use it.
Move back, move up, do that. Like I said,
Yeah.
I always remember Frank Thomas and Alex Rodriguez, A Fraud, were both looking at it going, man, I could have got 400 more hits.
Yeah. Like they had no idea. So
Didn't even
crazy.
think about it. And then, of course, if you don't remember Grover Cleveland, uh, do you know what he was known for until recently? He was the only
Um.
one until recently.
Oh. I don't. No, I don't know.
Grover Cleveland was the 22nd and the 24th
Oh, right. Yes.
presidents. He was the
Okay.
only one to have split terms,
Split
which
term.
we had never had until this last time
Yeah.
with Trump and his
I didn't even think about that.
45
Very
and
nice.
47. Yeah. So,
Yeah. Very
but
nice little history
that's who Grover
lesson.
Cleveland Alexander was named after, the 22nd
Mhm.
and 24th. Grover Cleveland, born in 1837, died in 1908.
Mhm.
Died, born and died in New Jersey.
Oh, okay.
And then Grover Cleveland Alexander, whose nickname was Old Pete. Didn't know that, did
Okay.
you? Old Pete. He was born in 1887, and he would die in 1950. Old Pete, or Alexander the Great, was who Christopher Sanchez just passed.
Oh, all right. All right. The National League Rookie of the Month goes to TJ Rumfield uh, of the Rockies. Hit 310 with 4 home runs, 12 RBIs, and an 883 OPS.
I keep seeing his name because I keep seeing the Rockies pop up. Of course, the Rockies playing the Angels, and so
Yeah.
I keep seeing his name. And it seems like every time I catch on the TV, they've got the back of his jersey.
Yep. He's doing stuff for the
Do you
Rockies.
think? Do you think if he does well, especially defensively, they'll give him the like a nickname, Secretary of Defense or something like that?
Maybe. I mean, it's close enough. Rumfeld, not Rumsfeld, but yeah, Rumfield. Or I don't know if it's a Rumfield, but close enough. I like it. I like it. The American League reliever of the month is Cade Smith from the Guardians. He saved every game he appeared in. He had 25 strikeouts and 13 and 2/3 innings for a 1.32 ERA. He had 10 saves just in the month of May. He has 20 overall, which leads everybody, all relief pitchers. And then in the National League reliever of the month for the third straight month is none other than San Diego's Mason Miller. He had no earned runs in 9 and 2/3 innings, 20 strikeouts. He was 17 for 17 in save chances on the season, and a 0.72 ERA, 49 strikeouts in 25 innings. And those are the players of the month for Major League Baseball.
Good group of players there. All right, so Baseball. College baseball playoffs, which is the start of the road to Omaha. And, usually you've heard the term like chalk, which is meaning whatever, the regular odds or chalk would be if you make your chalk selections, it's what it, sets up based off of what the uh, what's the word I'm looking for? Like the rankings and that stuff. You pick all the number one seeds, or you pick, when you pick them, you're always going to pick the higher seed. Um, so, and that's usually a lot of that plays out the same way when you start off the college baseball playoffs. The regionals kind of just go as you would expect. There's not a whole lot of, and if there's upsets, it's in the lower ranks.
Right.
Well, something that has never happened ever in the college baseball playoffs happened. And in the big picture, it didn't end up well for the team it happened to. Prior to this, the beginning of this particular playoff series, no number one seed had ever lost the first game of their regional. And not only did they lose the first one, they ended up being eliminated as the overall number one seed of the whole tournament. The UCLA Bruins did not make it out of Westwood to make it to the Super Regionals, where they would have met a team from the Morgantown Regionals. The winner of their regionals, Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, will be taking on the West Virginia Mountaineers. And in almost identical fashion, 2 years in a row, the Wildcats of Kentucky were eliminated by the Mountaineers. Similar hits that were misplayed in center field. I mean, it was almost like exactly the same, like they recreated the replay.
Yeah.
And so West Virginia, they move on out of theirs, and they are hosting the Super Regional with Cal Poly. How about this one? This one is crazy. Another number one seed goes down overall. Of course, they did win their first game of the regional, but Little Rock advances to a Super Regional out of the Hattiesburg, Mississippi region. And then the team that I didn't know where they were specifically, I thought they're in Michigan. They're actually south of Montgomery, Alabama, is Troy, Alabama. And Troy moves on, and because they are the higher ranked team, they get the Super Regional between Little Rock. So there's going to be kind of a Cinderella aspect coming out to go to the World Series. So somebody between those two is going to be going. We'll see what happens with them. Out of Chapel Hill, the number one seed does make it out of there, and that'll be North Carolina. And then it took them 7 full games of play, and they had to play Texas A&M and USC, the Trojans of Southern Cal, had to play each other twice at the end of the regional. But Southern California ends up taking Texas A&M out and thumps them pretty well to move on to their regional. They'll take on North Carolina. Out of Auburn, out of the Lincoln Regional, where my Arizona State Sun Devils. Forks were not up for them.
No.
They did make it down, and had they been able to, they played a doubleheader basically on the Sunday versus Ole Miss, and had they beat Ole Miss, then they would have played again on Monday. But Ole Miss was able to take them out and win the Lincoln, Nebraska regional, and they'll take on Auburn, who will host the Southern or the Super Regional at Auburn. Georgia comes out of theirs. Both of these were number one seeds out of theirs. Georgia and Mississippi State out of the Athens and Starkville regions move forward. Super Regional in Athens. Some of these are like, you look at them, these aren't surprising. The names: North Carolina and Southern Cal. Those are big name colleges. Ole Miss and Auburn. It's an SEC matchup right there. Georgia and Mississippi State, another SEC matchup. Texas and Oregon, two big schools. But like I said, then you have Little Rock and Troy.
Yeah. So not one you normally hear.
Nope. The Super Regional that's going to be in Tuscaloosa is Alabama. They move on and will host. And out of the Tallahassee region, nope, not Florida State. It is St. John's that finds their way out. Not a name you see a lot in baseball, usually basketball for St. John's. A Big 12 matchup, and I know that they're not Big 12 teams anymore. Well, one of them is. The other one is not. But this was I remember seeing them play basketball against one another at the Lloyd Noble Arena in Norman, Oklahoma.
Yeah.
The Sooners of Oklahoma, they survived the Atlanta region by taking out Georgia Tech, the number one seed, and Kansas, who kind of surprised everybody by winning the Big 12. They move on, and that'll be a familiar territory for Oklahoma because they've played in Lawrence in mini sports many times.
Yes.
And that's your super regionals. Once those will play off this weekend, and remembering the super regionals, the regionals and the College World Series are double elimination. The Super Regionals is the best of three. So it's going to be a standard series on each. And so whoever wins the three will move on and go to Omaha. So next week we'll talk about that. We'll know who's moved on where. And of course, with the College World Series, it's double elimination and bracket play, and then it's best of three for the championship. Anything that you saw happen in the regionals that caught your eye or stood out for you?
Yes. I'm trying to think because I had written it down, and now there was a game that ended, and it was an elimination game, and it ended on a pitch clock violation.
Oh,
Actually,
right.
it wasn't it was the hit clock, I guess, right? Because it was the batter. It was the hitter. That and now, because I wrote it down, but obviously not in my notes.
Was it Nebraska or was it NC State?
I know I sent it to you, but the only problem is that we send a lot of stuff to each other.
Then trying to find it. No, I remember that it was. I remember that, but who was the? It was either NC State or it was Nebraska.
Yeah.
And whoever they were playing at the time. Who
Here we
did?
go. I think I found it. Yes, it was NC State and Auburn. And the pitch clock violation ended NC State's season. Who
Yeah,
would want to be that guy?
I don't know.
And yeah,
That shouldn't be. Yeah, I mean, I guess if you're going to have those rules, you just got to roll with them.
I
But
mean, really though, um, the game, I think, I don't know that I mean, was really going to end the season for them because, I mean, if they had gone for a rally, but they lost 17-13. So, it
well,
was a,
they had men on base.
yeah. So, I mean, was it obviously, yes. Ultimately, what ended their season was the clock violation. Um, so yeah, that's a tough one though. That's a tough one to swallow, and it ended the North Carolina State season and the 30-year career of Wolfpack head coach Elliot Avent, who is retiring.
Yeah, he didn't look happy.
No, maybe he won't retire.
And
Maybe
be
he'll
like,
come back just
to
because of that.
avenge. I've got to avenge this.
That's right.
This loss. This is not good. I don't blame him. I wouldn't be.
So,
I wouldn't be crazy about that either.
I
All
mean,
right.
that's just really really tough. I think that's the biggest one, and then of course also big surprises. I mean, in the first time in the super regional era since 1999, all 8 teams from the previous College World
Oh, right.
Series failed to reach super regionals. Um, so Coastal Carolina, LSU, UCLA, Oregon State, Arkansas, and then you had Louisville. Not even they didn't even make it.
Well, LSU didn't make it either.
Oh right, LSU didn't make it. Arizona, University of Arizona, not in the tournament. Murray State wasn't in the
Right.
tournament.
The racers are
Yeah.
normally there.
So that's, and I think that's one of the reasons. I mean, I think it goes back to, you see this, and you made a comment about this last week. You see this in March Madness, but you see it even more so on the road to Omaha, where you have these, you just don't know who's going to make it out because they've got the regionals, the super regionals, and then there are some teams that you're like, yeah, they're gonna do it, and then they UCLA. I mean, they were number one for how long?
Almost
And
wire to wire.
right, and they couldn't even make it out, and they were playing at their home field.
Yeah, you would have thought that would have been it, but they came across, and that's the thing. See, this is the thing that a lot of people don't catch with baseball. It's pretty common that you look at a basketball team, the basketball team that has the two best players,
Hmm.
almost always going to win.
Yeah.
It's not. It's just when you've got the upper echelon. The thing with baseball is you can have a team of say, if there's 25 people on a roster, and I don't remember how much there is in college, but let's say you've got a roster of 25 people, they can all be average players.
Yeah.
Maybe not a single superstar like you think. Because look, one of the kids, I can't remember his name now, from Arizona State, Landon, and I can't remember his last name. This is a kid that probably, I think he's eligible for the draft. And see, a lot of these players that we're looking at now, we will probably see in about a month being drafted at the All Star
Hmm.
game for the,
Yeah.
and so you got to watch that too. But there's these guys are going to go aren't necessarily on the teams that are winning. The teams are winning. Cal Poly, San Luis Obispo doesn't necessarily have, a couple of superstars and then a bunch of other players, 7 other. No, if they've got 9 average players, they're probably a better team than a team that's got a couple of superstars and then some below average players.
Right.
And so that's the one thing is that, there's a different level of success here. And so you can't write off Cal Poly. You can't write off Troy.
No, you can't write off any of these teams because you just don't know who is going to be on the mound for that team and have the game of their life, right? Or who is going to be a guy that maybe's been slumping and in the postseason and in their playoffs just comes alive, like a Kike Hernandez, I guess, in a way. And I think you just don't know. And that's one of the things, seeing like, Vanderbilt not even making it into,
Right.
and Tennessee, being eliminated. There's just, that's the great part about, college baseball is that um, it's very, there's just no, you could be number one the whole season and be eliminated.
Well, you look at looking at Troy and Little Rock both.
Yeah.
Troy came out. They had to get past Florida and Miami, both
Yeah.
great
Two,
programs.
both.
Ryder, was a lower level team, but both of those are strong. They're powerhouses.
Yeah.
And then Little Rock came out of with Southern Miss, Virginia, who's a perennial team. I mean, we were talking about Chris Taylor, CT3, a Virginia
Mhm.
guy,
Yeah.
and so they're coming out of strong divisions, strong regionals.
Yeah.
And beating teams that played well all year and they just didn't play as well as they needed to. And
Well, and I think
just ask
sometimes too.
UCLA.
Yeah, I mean, I think sometimes too when you think, well, we've been number one the whole season, or we're number one seed, or yeah, I've never. Where's Troy? I don't know where that's at. We're gonna beat them, and sometimes you underestimate these smaller schools that you don't know anything about until you play them for the first time, and then you're like, oh, wait a minute, these guys are no joke.
Right.
Um,
And that's the thing. That's what makes baseball the American pastime is
mhm.
that it doesn't. I always remember this when in high school I went out for football. There was a lot of people because football teams are just big. There's a lot of different positions, right?
Yeah,
Basketball, you go out, there's just a few guys who go out for basketball. Baseball, the whole school goes out because
yeah.
everybody remembered playing Little League. Everybody thinks they can
Mhm.
still play. Now, yes, people drop off. They don't want to work that hard or they find that they're not as good as they thought they were.
Yeah,
But everybody believes when you have time, what do? Do you pick up, unless you're by a hoop, people are always picking up something and trying to hit a rock with a stick or something.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
all. It's always within us, and
Yes.
it's in our DNA, just like we say.
Mhm.
Well, we're definitely going to be watching this, and we'll start to see some of these guys start to stand out that we'll be watching for in the upcoming draft with the MLB draft, which will happen at All Star Game weekend. Where is it this time? Philly.
Yes.
So, so we got that to look forward to, and then of course, any one of these guys could be future writers on the wheel of IL.
All right. The Athletics Luis Severino is on the 15-day IL. He has been diagnosed with a strain of his right shoulder capsule and subscapularis muscle.
That doesn't sound good.
And he's going to be reevaluated in 4 to 6 weeks. So he's going to,
Subscapularis?
yeah, subscapularis. So, yeah, so he's going to be out for a little while. Definitely longer than 15 days. Boston's Garrett Crochet has a low-grade lat strain, so he was already on the IL with the shoulder strain. Now he has a low-grade lat strain. Cincinnati's Ellie De La Cruz is on the IL with a right hamstring strain, and it's between a grade 1 and a grade 2. So 1.5, I guess.
Okay.
1.5, 1.75. I don't know, but that's just what Terry said. The
Hey,
Dodgers.
if
Yeah,
Tito says it,
that's it.
that's
That's
gospel.
exactly. The Dodgers, Brusdar Graterol, who had been on a rehab assignment, was on on the plane with Kike going to OKC, and just had back surgery because he injured his back while on a rehab assignment. This is a guy that has been out. I don't even know. I mean, he's just been out a long time, and depending on is he ever going to come back is the real question. Gavin Stone, still on the IL, but is not nearing any type of rehab, any type of even like throwing, because when he did start a throwing progression, he is still feeling soreness in that shoulder that he had surgery on. So he's another one, he started out really great and we're very hopeful. And now it's like, I don't know, where's he going to end up? And then the Padres, Ramon Laureano, has a right hip inflammation. And so he is on the 10-day IL. And he's not on the IL yet, but he is out of the lineup, and that is Aaron Judge, because they're not quite sure what they're going to do with him, because he has a bone bruise in his ribs, in the rib area, but it's causing shoulder pain. He had a bone bruise in his ribs, and it's causing soreness in his right shoulder. The Yankees said that he's been playing through the injury for the last couple of weeks. He did undergo medical imaging, but they haven't updated his status as of yet. So that will be on the radar. But it sounds like he may be headed to the IL.
Which is that's always a tough thing. Now, the one thing that's good for the Yankees is that Ben Rice, who you mentioned earlier, has he's got 17 home runs just like Judge does, and a lot of homegrown talent. And Rice is hitting about 60 points higher as well. So, but yeah, you never want to lose somebody like Aaron Judge.
No.
So is that it?
That's it. That is the wheel of IL.
All right. Well, before we close things down for the week, some breaking news. Maybe some of you knew, maybe some of us didn't, but breaking news from San Diego. And it's kind of got to be sad that it happened here, because here's a guy that just 3 years ago was on the was an all-star, and uh, he got MVP votes. He was like 23rd in voting, but he still got MVP votes.
Yeah.
And now, for the second time in as many seasons, he's been released. The Padres have let Nick Castellanos go.
I thought it was a match made in heaven.
Well, apparently not. His after 39 games, and like I said, when you look at it, and it's got to be sad too, because they're in Philadelphia right now.
Oh, that's even, man, pour some salt in the wound.
Yeah. So with 39 games, 115 at bats, he's had 22 hits. He's only batting 191, which is better than Manny, but Manny's got, he's qualifying number
Yeah.
of at bats, whereas 122. How many does Manny have total? But anyway, he's been released. So the question is, what happens next for
somebody? I think somebody will pick him up somewhere.
well, they're
We'll
gonna
see.
they're gonna look at something. What did I say? 35. Yeah, so he's got how many did I say Castellanos had plate appearances or at bats?
Well, yes, he's only played 39 games with them, so what did I?
Yeah,
I know I
Manny's
heard
had
you.
57. Manny's batting
Oh,
171.
115. Yeah.
He's got 115. Manny's 205. So yeah. Anyway, so Castellanos is gone from the Padres, and they have called up Samad Taylor from the Chihuahuas of El Paso. He's a utility player, and he's on his way to Philadelphia, as it were. All right, park in the bullpen cart and get the rags out and shine up that dual, super cool looking exhaust on our little 9-volt battery operated bullpen cart. Remember, you can find us social media, Twitter and Blue Sky at Sibling Rivalry BB without the A.
And on Facebook and Instagram at Sibling Rivalry BB with the A.
SiblingRivalryBB.com is our website, and you can head on to Fanatics, check and see. You can get your favorite gear from your favorite. I wonder if you could get like a Castellanos Padres jersey at a discounted rate.
Probably, yes. I bet you can.
Well,
Clearance.
Check it out. Go to the SiblingRivalryBB.com, click on one of the Fanatics links, and go find any of your teams, including any of the teams that you might be rooting for, like Troy in the Super Regionals on their way to the College World Series. Well, whatever you do, go see some live baseball. Check it out on TV. Little League's always fun. Yep. And the other day near the Little League park, there was a family out having in an adjacent field, having like a big kickball game.
Oh yeah, that's always fun.
So I hadn't seen anybody play kickball in a while, but that did look fun. So you never know what you might run into when you go down to that. Whatever it is, see some live baseball, and also don't forget to swing away.